MrBeast, welcome to Figuring Out.
I flew all the way to India just to be on this podcast. I heard this is the #1 podcast. You're like the Joe Rogan of India.
I am the Raj Shamani of India. Let's just put it this way.
Okay.
Are you all ready? Yeah. Start the timer.
What have you sacrificed in order to reach where you are?
I mean, I literally sacrificed everything.
How much are you spending in a year?
Well over $200 million spent on content this year between the Amazon show and the main channel.
Fuck. If you have to tell every YouTuber to ask themselves 3 questions, what would be those 3 questions?
Step 1, is this video original? If you're driving down the road and you just see a cow, you're never gonna think about that again. But if you're driving down the road and you see a cow and it's purple, you're gonna look 5 times and you're never gonna forget that. And I think that same logic does apply to ideas. The second thing would be, am I truly putting as much effort into this video as possible? The third question would be, what am I improving from last time?
If you had a podcast, what would you do?
What you really need to be focused on is like, how do I articulate better? My questions are more well-researched and I'm asking things that no other podcast has asked this person. So they feel like they're getting more value. Relentless obsession with making a better product.
How much money do you make in a year? We all go through moments when we urgently need to send something to someone or get something from someone. But we often don't know about quick and reliable delivery options. And we end up spending more money while still facing delays. That's where Porter's amazing 2-wheeler delivery service comes as a savior for families, businessmen, and young people. Whether you need to deliver something at your home for your parents, pick up something from a friend's place, or send an important office document to someone, Porter's 2-wheeler delivery service handles it all quickly and at a budget-friendly price. So now, deliver anything, anytime, anywhere. Delivery hai, ho jayega. Just click on the link in the description and explore Porter's delivery options today. Our today's guest is world's biggest YouTuber who has more subscribers than the population of most countries. He loves breaking records and recently broke 40 Guinness World Records while filming his new show, Beast Games. We have MrBeast on Figuring Out. We spoke to him about his brilliant content strategy, how anyone can grow their audience from 0 to 1 million followers. 3 very important questions which every YouTuber should ask themselves before making a video. Also, he broke down his entire business model of chocolates brand Feastables. The crazy story behind making his show Beast Games, and in the end, we challenged him to come up with a viral idea for promoting my brand YFL Home. But before you start watching this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Raj Shamani Clips and Raj Shamani Shorts channel, because there we put small clips of this long episode so that you gain more insights in less time every day. And if you want to experience an audio version of this episode, then it is available on Spotify, so you can follow us there as well. Go watch this episode and watch it till the end, because this is one of the biggest episodes and one of the biggest moments for the Figuring Out. And it's filled with so many insights and such knowledge that you'll thank me in the end. Now start watching it. MrBeast, welcome to Figuring Out.
I flew all the way to India just to be on this podcast. I heard this is the #1 podcast in all of India. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're like the Joe Rogan of India?
I wouldn't like to call myself that. Yes, I am the Raj Shamani of India. Let's just put it this way.
Okay. And so, yep, that's why I'm here. And jokes aside, thanks for having me on. And yeah, we were just...
Thank you so much for coming here. Let me tell you this, because we are doing this formally. You have no idea how many videos of you being on podcasts I've seen and implemented those strategies in my team. It's insane.
I mean, I appreciate the kind words. So let's, is there anything in particular you want to talk about, or?
There are so many things I want to talk about.
Okay.
But because I have the biggest YouTuber of the world, I want to make this more a personal consultation session more than anything.
Okay.
I have an important question, because you and Logan both came here.
Yeah.
And I see both of you as 2 different creators, purely based on personality. Okay, you have...
That's an understatement.
I'm not talking about content at all. I'm just talking about, let's say, 2 really, really famous people.
Yeah.
Really, really important creators in their fields. One is a very humble creator. Let's say you are a very humble creator. You're always available for people. You told me that you spent 16 hours in line to help people click pictures with you. That's
Yeah.
insane, right? And you've always been shown as someone who's like just available, loving, out there. Versus there's Logan, who is like outrageous. He's loud. He's a little cocky.
Arrogant,
He has,
a little bit douchey.
He has this air about himself, right?
Yeah.
Both can be two important strategies. Which strategy works better for a creator in order to build a long-term fan following? And
Yeah.
I'm purely talking about being strategic about it.
Strategic, which is better for fan building, being a douchebag or being Mr. Nice Guy? Honestly, the strategy that works best for the creator is whatever you are. Like, you can't fake who you are, because people will see that. It won't come across authentic. You're not gonna be able to keep up that facade. So I think that's just like Logan was like a state wrestler, and that is just kind of more who he is, and so he leans into it. Obviously, that's not the kind of guy I am. So I really have all the strategy in the world when it comes to making the videos and the thumbnail and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to your personality, you really just kind of have to be who you are, or it's just not going to work, because you really can't keep up a facade. Like I was telling you, I've been doing this for 15 years now. I started when I was 11. I'm 26 now. Like, if I was trying to put on some facade of, being someone I'm not, people would know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't come across right.
Tell me, what have you sacrificed in order to reach where you are? What's your number one, like the biggest sacrifice you've made for the success you've gotten?
I gotta process that one for a minute. What sacrifices have I made to get here? I mean everything. Like, literally, this is all I do. This is literally everything to me, is this YouTube channel. And I mean, the amount of times my mom cried because I, wouldn't go to Christmas morning with her because I was busy grinding videos, which, I'm not that hardcore anymore. This Christmas, I'll spend it with my mom, but back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean like last year and every Christmas before that, really, I wouldn't take Christmas off because I was like, Mom, this I need to be grinding. Like, I can't, what if I take this day off and someone else is working, right? So I didn't take holidays off. I didn't do really anything. Like, I didn't hang out with friends. I don't regret this, but I didn't do drugs or drink at least much. I've had alcohol maybe like 4 times in my life. Like, I just obsessed over it. And I don't know. It's like, I literally sacrificed everything. There's a lot of things people do that are truly great, will seem absurd at the start, and you don't really know how you're going to do it, but you just kind of do it one building block at a time. Kind of like the Amazon show. While I was napping, so I was catching up on some Z's before the podcast. I showed him episode 1 of the Amazon show. What'd you think of it? We haven't talked about it yet.
We'll talk about it. It was insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm not even the person with game shows. Like, I enjoy your videos once in a while, but I'm not the person who will watch like every video.
Yeah.
I thought, how will I watch like a 40 minute episode? I don't even enjoy game shows, all of that. And I was hooked.
Yeah.
It's so grand. It's so good. I was telling a team, guess what do you think was the best thing about the show? What do you think I would like?
You probably liked the contestants, right? The character building.
Yeah, that was one, because I was hooked. I wanted somebody to win, but that fucker turned out to be a rat. So I don't want to, there's this one guy in episode 1 where I was cheering for him. I thought he's the one who's going to hold the team together, and he turned out to be the rat, and he ended up taking the money. And I was so sad. I was like, fuck him. No. Yeah. But the best thing which I liked was the way you eliminate people.
Oh
shit!
When we dropped them?
Oh shit! That is so good. There is. I should not say this, but there's a little bit of sadistic value to it.
Well, it's
you feel so good about it.
Well, it's also so there's 1,000 in episode 1 of our show. There's 1,000 towers, right? We had to build 1,000 of those, and we had to, build literally 1,000 trap doors and 1,000 pits for them to fall into, and 1,000. That first episode we spent almost $15 million on. Is that
just
crazy?
The production?
Yeah, just for the first episode.
And the prizes.
I don't even know if that includes the money we gave away in the first episode. Just episode 1.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like, but you could see the scale of it. I mean, it's like,
It's grand.
yeah. And so that's like, and I'm grateful you're uploading this podcast on December 19th. So when you guys are seeing this, that means it's out on Prime Video. But that's been basically like the last year of my life. We've been working on that. And it's like, because the next one thing I've really wanted to do is like be able to, YouTube videos, they start, you build like characters, and we're trying to get into storytelling, but they start and end in a 30-minute video, and you don't really get time to develop people. And like, did you see our videos where we got like the 100 people ages 1 through 100 and put them in cubes? Don't worry about well, just in a lot of our newer videos on YouTube, we've been trying to focus on storytelling and character building, but it's just been, it's hard to like build them up and then so I've really wanted to do a streaming show so we could like flex our creative muscles and show like, hey, you know, it's not that we don't know how to tell great stories and we build characters and do these like things. It's just like, that's not what works on YouTube, but that obviously is what works on streaming. So let's do it. And so like to be able to, because we've already filmed it all, obviously we like to do 10 episodes and like build these people up throughout 10 episodes and have these like seeds we plant and like be able to, I mean, it's just like, it's a whole different ball game than YouTube, and I loved it. And I'm like so fucking excited for people to be able to watch it. Like
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I think one thing which like stands out in this is a grand level that's crazy.
It does even.
Second is you can see it in any language. Like you don't need a specific language to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I can watch that in my own language and like you dubbed.
Yeah.
And I can get the same kind of emotions. Like the way it's shot, the sound effect, the production, grandeur. Like it's just
that
it's
first
so
episode had more cameras recording than any production in the history of anything. No production has ever used 1,100 cameras recording at the same time.
1,100 cameras.
1,100. We had miles upon miles of cables ran. We had to spend millions of dollars on server space just to hold all the footage from all the cameras, because there's 1,000 contestants, and we had a dedicated camera for all 1,000 of them. And that was just episode 1 that you saw. There's 9 other ones like that, and some of them are way better than that and way more grandiose. Like we mentioned in it, like at one part we take the contestants to a private island and let them compete for it. One of them wins it. It's the $5 million, which is the largest cash prize in entertainment history. No one's ever given away $5 million before. And on top of that, we gave away so much more money in the show.
Yeah,
it's
I saw that.
Yeah, we broke over 40 Guinness World Records, official Guinness World Records. Like I have the plaques filming that show.
But who funds these things?
Well, so that show, obviously Amazon paid a lot for, but I also lost a lot of money filming it because we burned through all the money Amazon gave. And I was like, nah, I want to keep making it better and better. So actually my YouTube videos, if you go on my channel right now, are actually a little cheaper than what they used to be, because I have to supplement like the Prime Video show because I overspent so much on it, which is kind of funny. But I threw everything I have at it, and that's where I'm excited, man, because it's also like last year I uploaded 22 main channel videos. This Amazon show that I did is like 10 videos that are all bigger than my biggest video ever. So it's like crazy to be sitting on it, because right now as we're filming this, it's not out. When they watch this, it'll be out. But it's crazy to be sitting on this much content. I've never sat on. I'm sitting on 6 hours of MrBeast content, which is more than what I uploaded last year right now, just waiting to drop this show. And it like, I mean, we filmed 15 hours a day for like 45 days straight just on the Amazon show. So it also created a lot of strain on my YouTube channel, because I had to film a bunch of YouTube videos, basically take 2 months off YouTube. And then right when we finished filming the Amazon show, I come back and we burned through our videos on YouTube. And now I had to, so there was like, which I haven't really been able to talk about this on podcasts, but there's like 120 days where I was like filming every single day, because I had to stockpile YouTube videos so I think could go film every day for Amazon. And then I had to come back and refilm for YouTube. And it was like, this was my travel schedule at one point. Like I flew to Canada, spent a couple weeks in Canada filming. Then I flew to like LA to speak at a conference. And then I flew from LA to San Francisco to speak at another conference. And I flew to Germany to launch Feastables and film a video in Germany with a bunch of creators around Feastables. Then we flew to the Netherlands did you watch our new video where we did the $1 versus $500,000 experience?
No.
Well, we ate dinner in a hot air balloon for a video. And then we flew to the Canary Islands to film on a submarine, which is off the coast of Africa. Then after that, we flew to Dubai to ride a camel for $1. No, that wasn't even the Burj Khalifa. It was just to film camel for $1 and a couple other things in Dubai. Then we flew to, I believe it was Oklahoma, to help. We have a video coming up where we helped 2,000 people walk again. So there we helped dozens of people get prosthetic legs and walk for the first time. Then I flew to Guatemala and spent 2 days there helping more people walk again. Then we flew to Ecuador, spent 2 days in Ecuador to help hundreds of people walk again. Then we flew from Ecuador to Florida to help hurricane victims, Florida to Raleigh to do the zero gravity space thing. And then from Raleigh back to Dubai, which is because the Burj Khalifa wasn't ready when I went there the first time. So I had to fly all the way back just to stand on top of the Burj Khalifa. And then after that, we flew. I mean, it was, I didn't like sleep in my own bed for like 2 months. I mean, I was just flying.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's like because and before that, it was 45 to 60 days of just straight filming for the Amazon show. So it was like, in which we didn't film that in my hometown. We filmed that in Canada. So I was like, I remember coming back to my bed after all this travel, and I was just like, is this my house? I was like shocked. I was like, is this my table? This is my dog. I have a dog. How's he going?
Dude, that's a lot of work. That's why you are where you are. But tell me the whole process. How do you plan this thing? This series I'm talking about, specifically the Beast Games, right?
Oh boy.
Like give me like step by step, how many steps are involved. Obviously you can't tell everything because it will take like 5 days.
Well, that's
but give me like the short version because it's insane to think. And the other thing is you don't even know whether it'll perform or no. So how do you proof check that?
I know,
in your
right?
head?
Isn't that crazy?
Right?
Like I threw everything. We put everything I have into this. Like,
and how do you check it? Like at every point, oh, this will work, this will not work, because
you have to have blind faith. You have to have, that's the thing. I don't know, right? Technically, I don't know if this will perform or not, but I lost a lot of money filming this outside of the money they gave me. Like I said, I threw all my people at it.
How much money did you lose? Okay, give me that.
Tens of millions. Like I poured tens of millions on top of the money I was given to make this work.
So you didn't make any money out of it?
Oh, no. I would have way more money if I never filmed it. way more money.
Why do you do, I mean, let it be. Like, I think tons of podcasts have asked you the same question.
Because the goal here is to make the greatest show possible. It's not to make money, right? Like which you can see when you watched it. Like you can tell, like the goal is just to make phenomenal content. But yeah, so obviously step one is you just like, I've wanted to do this for years, but we just kind of had to figure out what would make this different than a typical reality challenge show. Because one thing I think you might have noticed when you're watching it is like, if you watch normal reality shows, like they do a lot of cutaways and takeaways. So like something will happen and they cut to someone like in a room, like, you know, that they filmed after the show and get their thoughts on it, which I don't like. There's a lot of things that normal reality shows do that I didn't like. And so step one was like, how are we going to be different, right? Just like on YouTube, we didn't do what everyone else did. We formed our own lane. I wanted to figure that out. So, watched quite a few reality shows and just took notes on like, I don't like that they do this. I don't like that this, I don't like that. And then once we kind of figured out like what I think first principles wise would be an optimal reality show. Like, again, I don't care what other people do. What do we think a 21st century reality challenge show should look like? Once we kind of wrote those principles out, then, wrote the whole thing, rewrote the whole thing, which this wasn't me. I have a phenomenal team of people who do a lot of this because obviously I'm also still grinding YouTube 25 days a month filming and everything we already talked about. So I had to lean on like these just world-class people I have hired. And this
Did you hire anyone specific
for the Amazon? For this? Oh yeah. So we, one day on the Amazon show, like as it was leading up to before we were filming, I walked on set. There was over 1,000 people on set. Some of them building sets, other of them writing, some of them running cables for the camera. I mean, like it's like absurd. Like so, but yeah. So step one is you got to write it. Which I mean, we probably rewrote the show like at least 20 times. I mean, it's like because you don't really know what's possible, right? Like at one point I wanted to do this thing that we didn't end up doing, which is like, I wanted to go in a desert and when we had 50 contestants, I wanted to get like 50 machine guns. So picture like 10 machine guns and then below it another row of 10 machine guns, another row of 10 machine guns, another row of 10 machine. So like 5 rows of 10 machine guns each. And then I wanted to put like a mannequin really far out in the desert. And then everyone has a different color bullet and be like, all right, everyone shoot that mannequin and get like this cool slow-mo shot with like a phantom camera of everyone just firing these like machine guns, like mounted ones at it. And it's like, okay, 25 of you hit the thing, then they stop. And then we like pull the bullets out of the mannequin. And then what I was going to do is have those 25 people go up top, and there's like a platform above the machine guns. And it was basically what we were going to do is give them a bag of money. And then at any point in the next 7 days, they could drop that bag. The 25, they press the button, the 25 people at top, and the bag will fall. And then the 25 people that down below, if they shoot it before it hits the ground, they move on. But if they don't, then they're eliminated. And so then it's interesting because I thought this would be like a great episode. It's like, so the 25 people below that are like on these machine guns, like what of the 50 machine guns do they stay mounted on? Like, how do they do cycles? Because you got to sleep and you're going to lose attention. So do you do like 2 sets of 12 or 3 sets of 8 or whatever? And then the people up top, are they going to try to drop the bag at night, during the day? And they can drop it on the left side, the right side, and they can see the formation of the people down below. And then we were going to give them like 3 decoy bags. So like they could drop them to see like what times the people are paying. I thought this would be really cool. Right. So we have this thing and we put all this planning and effort into it. And then it's like, yeah, you can't just have 50 machine guns spraying in a desert. And so it ends up not happening. And that's not a thing. But so that because we're writing things that have never been done before, you don't know. And so it's a lot of like, I think this is sick, let's do it. And then people are like, that's not possible. And I'm like, figure it out. And they're like, that's not possible. I'm like, figure it out. And they're like, that's not possible. And then I'm like, okay, maybe that's not possible. All right, I'll rewrite it. Or the team will rewrite it. Not specifically me. I have a phenomenal guy named Tyler who directs or helps me with a lot of this stuff. And so like we legitimately rewrote the show like 20 times.
Here's a hypothetical question. Okay. If it really works and breaks all the records, what would be the one reason why it'll work? And if it really tanks, what do you think will be the reason it'll tank?
The reason why I think it would work is, I mean, we just looked at it from first principles. Like we hired the best in the world to help make the show that have done the best unscripted stuff. But, we just didn't do things the way they normally do. Like after we finished filming the show, we threw this after party to celebrate with the crew. It was great. Everyone's having a good time. I had so many different of our producers and people who worked on the show come up to me and go like, I've worked on unscripted shows for 20 years, decades. And like, they're like, this is the most unscripted show I've ever been on. Like you guys didn't tell people how to act. You guys just let the contestants, you created this own mini world where the contestants were just them and you just captured it and you had the infrastructure to capture it and you didn't make them be people they're not and like a lot of these things. And so that's one reason why I think it'll do well. Another is like no one's ever built sets like these. Like that first set you saw, like you could fit all of Wipeout in there. You could fit all of Jeopardy in there. You could fit all of American Ninja Warrior, all 3 of them in there. And it still wouldn't be as big as that first room. So the grandiose of the sets, I mean, no one's ever had this many contestants. No one's ever had this large cash prize. We gave away more money than any game show in history. But no, I don't. I just don't think it will.
Well, I hope so too.
Because I also hope I hope this crushes to a degree where other creators can go, look, Amazon, look, Netflix, like MrBeast did well. Like, trust me, I know my audience. Let me make a show. Because right now, the trust in creators on streaming platforms is at an all-time low. Like a lot of platforms have done stuff with creators, gotten burned. The shows didn't do well. They weren't received well. Like Tomato.
Why do you think it's not working for a lot of creators?
Truthfully, the biggest thing is like a lot of these creators they don't make these kind of big budget things, and then they go into streaming, and then it requires them to scale up like I did, but they don't have that experience, so it just crashes and burns, doesn't feel authentic. But also a lot of them were years ago. I mean, more and more creators are becoming like you. You have 40 employees now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, more creators are becoming entrepreneurs and like building small, medium-sized businesses. And so I actually do think there are a lot of creators now that would do well in streaming. It's just streaming platforms just need to take them serious. And I know a couple of people who they would kill me if I named them, so I can't name. Like I know one who did something with the streaming platform. Can't name it. He would kill me. But he was, I was catching up with him while he was working on the show with them, and they'd constantly cut like jokes out and be like, that's not what our audience wants. And it's like, he'd be like confiding in me and he'd be like, what do they mean? Like the audience is my audience. Like this person got good views on YouTube, but like the streaming platform was like making him dumb down his humor, making him pull certain things out. Like they're like the execs were kind of just like, and he wasn't really as proud of the final product as he wanted to be. And so it's not only just like getting streaming deals, but then it's also like giving the creators the liberty to like make what they know their audience wants, right? From the streaming platforms. Because like, yeah, you could, like if they gave you a deal, but then they started telling you what questions you need to ask and like, oh, you need to act this way and blah, blah. And, you know, and then you're like stuck between, well, if I don't listen to them, do I get a season 2 or not? And then you do it and the show kind of half performs because it's not. And so just like changing how that whole thing works, I think would be great, where creators can just be like, trust me, they trusted Jimmy, look what happened. And then creators get more trust so they can make better shows.
Let's talk about creator economy a little. Okay.
Yep.
What do you think about podcast? What do you think? Is there a future?
Oh, of course. I mean, look at, Joe Rogan with the election recently and him having, Trump on and JD Vance and like, being able to like, for them to go around the traditional media and just speak directly to their audience through podcasts. Like that was incredibly powerful, whether or not you agree with their political beliefs or anything. Like the fact that they could do that, right? If it wasn't for podcasts, it'll probably be higher when this comes out, but I believe the Trump interview right now is on 50 million views on Joe Rogan, right? Like how else would Trump have been able to speak to 50 million people? How else would 50 million people have been able to see like a window into his brain, which is almost what a podcast is. So no, I think it plays a very important role. And I think they're just going to keep growing.
But do you think it's gotten super competitive?
Well, it's the same as YouTube. Like people would say YouTube's gotten super competitive, but you were telling me you started your channel 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're killing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, I think like there's just how many people are actually making great podcasts. So, no, I think podcasts are going to keep growing and becoming more and more powerful. And it's just like you're always going to want to see a window into people's brains. You know what I mean? And like, unless there's a new medium to do it, like, yeah, I just see it being more and more important, to be honest.
If you had a podcast, what would you do? Like what hacks would you put out to actually grow it crazy?
It's just focus on making the best content possible. Like even now, like it's funny because you listen to my old podcast, I'm so data focused and that kind of stuff. But now I just kind of like look at ideas and I'm just like, is this objectively a good video that people want to watch? And when we write the videos, I'm just like, is this good content that people want to watch? Like it's more just focused on, it's always been focused on make the best video possible, but even more hardcore now than ever. And it's, there really is no, like if you wanted to be a top podcaster, is not, you can do these little gimmicks or things or whatever, but what you really need to be focused on is like, how do I articulate better? How do I make sure there's not awkward moments with my guest? How do I get it where my questions are more well-researched and I'm asking things that no other podcast has asked this person, so they feel like they're getting more value listening to this and all these other things, which I wouldn't call growth strategies or hacks. I would just call like relentless obsession with making a better product.
Here's my dilemma as a creator. And this I'm asking personally, and I'm sure a lot of creators have the same thing, right?
Yep.
So when I am, let's say, making the podcast with you or with anyone, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking about how do I make the best?
Yep.
But the way I think or the knowledge I have or the other kind of stuff I'm going through in my life, best for me would not resonate with a lot of audience.
Okay.
So like the questions which I would ask would be so subjective to just me.
But I did say make the best podcast possible for you. I just said make the best podcast possible.
So how do you actually pinpoint that difference? Like this is the question which maybe the audience wants to know.
Yeah.
And this is the question which you want to know. And I'll give you an example if you want. Okay. So let's say I know for a fact that the moment if I ask you a question that how much money did you spend in making this show, this particular clip will fly.
Yeah.
Like this will turn out to a reel or a TikTok and it'll just go everywhere and it'll become a headline.
Yep.
Like I know this, right? So for audience, this question is important. But for me, like probably the most important question is, should I and other creators stick to Hindi and just create content in our local language or try to go global? Like both of these questions are really important.
Yeah.
But one has such a small audience and the other has such a big audience. Which one do you ask?
See, that's where, and this is going to be an answer you might not expect. I would say if you're having to choose between, here's a question that I think people would be interested in do really well, and then here's a question that I would be interested in but don't think do really well, my answer would be come up with more questions and find one that you're interested in and would do well, right? Like, that's just kind of my 2 cents, right? Like, because it's like with ideas, we kind of had the same thing in the past where it's like, these are our videos that would do really well. But I like just don't want to film, or I don't think make me look good. And then these are videos that I think would make me look good, or I'd like to film, but they don't do well. And the answer was always, okay, stop being lazy, come up with more ideas. You know what I mean? Like, okay, how many ideas are you sitting on? 50? Well, come up with 500, come up with 5,000. Eventually you'll find an idea that is both viral, that you want to do, that fits whatever you're trying to hit. And
Okay, talking about creators, what are the top 3 ideas you have for somebody who's watching this and wants to pursue content creation as a career? What are the kind of channels they can make, or the type of content they should make?
yeah, you've listened to my other podcasts. You probably have an inkling of what I'm about to say, but who the fuck cares what I think or what content they should do? Like their videos are going to be trash. They just need to make videos, make 100 videos, improve something every time. Ideally make 1,000.
But still, where do you see like the specific niche? Like give me 1 or 2.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter. They shouldn't do content because I said, oh, this niche is undervalued or whatever. They should just do what they want to do. And then they should just make an asinine amount of videos, improve something every time, and then and just get to the point where they're objectively making good videos. Just go make content. Like you're gonna suck at it. You probably will suck for a long time. You'll probably quit well before you start making good videos, because that's just what it is. And we need to weed out the weak anyways. Like 10,000 people will hear this, 500 will act on it, 400 will quit in the first year, another 90 will quit in the next, and then of those 10, 5 of you are going to quit the year after that. And then 5 of you are going to be psychopaths. They'll do it for 5 years. And in 5 years, you'll have honed all these skills and you'll probably be pretty good at it. And everyone's going to say you got lucky. And obviously there's luck involved in it, but you're just resilient and you grind and you didn't give up. And you got to the point where luck could meet the hard work,
True. That's there. Tell me about India. Do you also see this as a view farm? Like a lot of creators around the
view
world.
farm?
View farm. Like India has, what percentage of your views come from India?
Long form or short form?
Long form and short form. Give me.
I think long form, it's maybe 7%.
It's not that big then.
No, I mean, because we get like Mexico is bigger for us, or like Spanish. Like I think Spanish, we get like 15 million views a video. Like Spanish is huge for us. Lots of Mexico, lots of South America. Like but shorts, especially because you TikTok's banned here. I think it's like 13-14%. So you guys are definitely over-indexed on short form for us. No, I mean, view farm. I mean, I get tons of views. Like I don't need a view farm. I don't see anything as a view farm. I just see it as.
I heard like a big creator, I can't name him, a while ago when I was talking to him 6-7 months ago. They said a lot of American creators, they see India as a view farm, but Indian views doesn't give them any money.
Oh yeah, you definitely. I mean, that's not just India though. Like my Spanish views, like a lot of the languages, like a lot of the languages I dub into, like I know the RPMs are low, which for your viewers, they're probably more educated, but in case it's not obvious, in America, people are making on average, whatever, $60,000 a year, we'll say. Whereas what's the average income here in India? Like,
so I'll go for per capita. So per capita here is $2,500.
Exactly. So people just have less discretionary spending. So, they're not, just like the amount of money if you theoretically would spend, a penny to get an ad in front of someone in America, here you'd spend 1/100th of a penny. So you'd have to get like theoretically, that's a little extreme, maybe like 1/20th of a penny. So you'd have to get to make what you'd make on 1 billion views in India, you would probably make the equivalent on, let's say if it was like an 80-cent RPM and you had an $8 RPM, you'd probably make off of the same amount of money off 100 million views in America, right? So like
1/10.
Yeah, so like for you, it's like that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like if an American creator getting 100 million views would theoretically make just as much as you getting 1 billion. So which is like wild to think about, but no, none of that matters to me at all. Like I'm just trying to reach as many people as possible, and my goal is just to make the best videos possible, reach the widest audience possible. I don't care if there's no revenue in India. I would still dub my videos in Hindi. I would still come here. I'd still blah blah blah. Like I'm not. I mean, I know that's ironic because I'm here launching my product, but
yeah, that's because this was this was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Because then the pricing of your product becomes very important for Indian market.
Yeah.
How much do you sell it for in US? One bar.
In the US, those right now, single bar is $2.57, which is like.
And in India, how much would you sell for?
That one, there's a lot we got to figure out there because I want to manufacture these bars in India because you guys obviously have like import stuff and it'd just be more cost effective instead of making it somewhere else and shipping it here and blah 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 blah. So I don't really know where all that's going to land. The thing is, right now the reason why I'm not as like up to speed is we're only in 10 stores here, which because we need our bars everywhere else in the world. So we Prime launched in I believe thousands of stores or whatever, but we only put Feastables in 10, which is like nothing, obviously. But it's because we couldn't make enough. So it's not like we launched here, but it's kind of like a soft launch. We'll probably scale up in India later next year once we actually figure out how do we make these bars at scale where it's actually affordable for people here. And I also potentially I'm lining up some big collabs with Feastables too for India because I really want people in India to know like I care a lot about this country. And so I can't say who, but going to do like a Feastables bar with a very large Indian creator, which we haven't done in any other country and stuff like that. So it's like, I would say we haven't really launched here. It's just kind of like a fun trip here and put it in 10 stores so some people could try it, if that makes sense.
So right now it's not like a full-blown launch.
No. Yeah. I mean, I would be doing way more if it was. Yeah.
If you want any help with connecting with a lot of like manufacturers who can manufacture in India, let me know. I'll put you up.
Yeah.
With like a lot of them.
Let's do it. That would be great.
I know like a lot of them.
Okay.
Like a lot of them who manufacture for Nestle, for Rocher, for Mars, for like all of these people in India.
Okay. So, and what's the number one chocolate selling brand in India? I haven't even deep dove the market yet.
They're Cadbury.
Cadbury? That's what I saw when I was at a store earlier today. I was just looking at it. It looked like they were like half the shelf space. The big thing is just, it's going to be price, obviously, because people just don't have as much money to spend. And we do a lot for Feastables on the ethical side of, making sure like...
Sourcing needs to be something which is really problematic for,
Yeah. Are you aware of Tony's Chocolonely?
No.
They're a chocolate company that ethically sources their cocoa, and we partnered with them, and so we all our Feastable farmers we use fair trade, and on top of that we pay our farmers a living wage, and we do a lot of stuff like that. So basically Tony's Chocolonely, who we partnered with on their supply chain, Tony's Open Chain, they calculate here's how much it's a living income reference price. Here's how much a farmer needs to make to be able to make a living income. So this is how much they need to make per metric ton of cocoa beans they sell to you, and blah, blah. Anyways, it's just like a metric where it looks at the cost of like theoretically bread, inflation, everything in West Africa. And so we pay based off of that. We make like, if a farmer sells us beans and they don't make enough money off those beans to meet this threshold, then we'll pay extra on top of it just so they make enough money where they can live. So we pay our farmers a living wage. They're fair trade certified. And we're doing a lot of projects in West Africa and the communities where we're sourcing our beans to help them. And like we're right now building schools over there. And then there's CLMRS, which is like child labor remediation, which checks in on the farms, make sure there's not child labor, that kind of stuff. And trying to, like I don't want child labor, and I want to make sure our farmers make a living wage and fair trade certified. So I'm very aware. Yeah, there's a lot of messed up stuff in the cocoa sector, and Feastables is doing everything in its power to show that you don't need to do that. And that's one of the things I wasn't aware when I got into chocolate, how messed up it is. But because of all those things we're doing over there, and I don't have the scale like a company like Cadbury, that's why we are a premium brand.
Which year is it for you? Year 3?
Probably. Well, so the first year we were only online, which was obviously dumb. No one goes online to buy chocolate, but I really didn't know any better. Like I had to like learn all of CPG through trial and error. Like I didn't have a mentor. I didn't like with what I know now. I mean, oh my gosh! Like
what do you know now?
Oh yeah, well it's like.
Give me.
If I was talking to like young, like me 4 years, and we're probably on year 4 now. Okay. If I could just talk to me 4 years ago, I'd just be like, bro, why are you selling online only? No one buys chocolate online. Like almost all chocolate sales are in retail locations. Like what do you do? So we were D2C like the first 8 months, which was dumb. But I think we sold like 20 million online though, like just chocolate, which who does that? That was crazy.
I saw a shot I saw a short video. Some creator were explaining that MrBeast did $22 million on sales based on traffic of your website.
In a year?
Yeah.
For Feastables or merch? Or?
Feastables, first year.
Yeah, that's probably right, because that was the only way to buy it. And we did like the golden ticket stuff and things like that. Somewhere around there. I've just done everything in my power to educate myself on every little thing, because, that way I know what's going on in supply chain, et cetera. But so I wish I knew a lot of that sooner too, because it just would have been better to set it up like this at the start and that kind of things. But yeah, it's just also a lot of, I don't know, like we had to reformulate the bars because like our first one, people just didn't like the flavor and the repeat purchase rate wasn't there. And so like having to, these cartons. So here, I'll show you. Like there used to be a thing where if you grabbed one of these bars, right, like this, see how the other ones slide forward?
Yeah.
And our first iteration of Feastables, when these slid forward like that, they would all fall out of the box. And so we had a major problem where
packaging problem.
Yeah, where it was a cardboard box engineering problem where I walked in a Walmart one time, right, and there's like a chocolate, like the chocolate aisle in Walmarts in America are massive. We're talking like 100 feet wide. Yeah. Like there's so many chocolate products on there. I counted every single broken bar in the entire chocolate aisle. There's 74 broken bars across the entire chocolate aisle we were 1% of. And 72 of the 74 broken bars were Feastables. We were like 95% of breakage, but we were only 1% of the shelf space. And it's because we didn't engineer our boxes properly. And so when you grabbed bars, the others would lean forward and sometimes it would cause the box to tip. Yeah. And then the compound on that is like our bars now, we have these like ridges on them. So like, they have these natural break points where it's not as extreme. So like if you snap this bar right here on a break point, it's still fine. Like the bar looks fine. Yeah. Even when you open it, it doesn't destroy the consumer experience. I mean, I prefer it not, but before we didn't have these break points. So it was basically like the bar was just a giant pane of glass. So when it fell like this, it would shatter. Yeah. And so then there's like, then it would all come down here. And then, so it was bad, like really, really bad. So we fucked up on the box. We now do cold seal on the things here so we can get it closer to the bar. So the wrapper is way tighter. We used to do heat seals on our manufacturing lines. So because of that, you don't want to melt the chocolate. So you had to have more space between the chocolate and the seal, which gave it more wiggle room, which made it way more prone to breaking. So we switched to cold seal. So now the wrapper's tighter, so it hugs it better. So it's way less prone to breaking. We also made the bar a little bit thicker, so it's a little more durable. So like, I mean, I messed up in every way imaginable. Like the box.
All of these things you learned on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Like the box was not engineered correctly. The bar was too breakable. The packaging was not tight enough, and we didn't have the machinery, so we had to like completely switch that to where we could. And I didn't know the difference between hot seal and cold seal. I just was like, oh, everyone just seals it the same way. No, it's like that's why our wrappers weren't tight enough, and so we had to switch to that. And I mean, I could go on and on and on. I mean, it was just even like the way the branding looked. Like even these are it's funny. Here's a great case study. Look at the difference between these two boxes. I assume that camera over there can see it. Notice how like see how this orange strip down here is small and this red one's bigger. So this is a newer Feastables box. This one's probably whatever, like 4 or 5 months old. So another problem is when all the flavors were side by side, it was really hard from a distance to tell which flavor was which. Yeah. So even after I engineered the new boxes, I updated the colors now. Now it's like, if this was the newer one, the newer orange is also a little bit brighter. Bigger, yeah. So now you can, from a distance, actually be able to tell the flavors, where it was a lot harder before. So that was like, I'm on like version like fucking 12 of these things, right? That was like the difference between version 11 and 12. You can even see how that has the black stroke that doesn't have the black stroke right here, the all new bars. See how there's
to make
black
it more
around?
Legible and visible.
Yeah, and you can probably even tell like on the side, the bar pops a little bit more. See how there's a black stroke on the world's best chocolate? So that's more readable from a distance. The old box right here, it says enlarge to show detail, right? And they're like, oh, legally we have to put that there. And I'm like, why? This is actually smaller than our bar. We're not enlarging it. And like, I had to like 1v20 lawyers, and they're like, eventually they're like, yeah, you're right. You don't. And it's like, why? You see, because the old box, it says enlarge. And I was like, why? Why? And they were adamant. And I was like, why? And then eventually they conceded, and I was like, yeah, I don't understand. you can look at the top here, see how it says Milk Crunch. I mean, and then it used to say 10 bars on the left. This is an old thing we used to do because when we were D2C, you'd buy the carton.
Yeah.
But in retail, no one's buying the carton. So this 10 bars is irrelevant. And I want people to more focus on the product. So I got rid of those words there. I mean, I have obsessed over every little thing on these bars, every little, here's another thing, right? See this black text at the bottom? It says milk chocolate with peanut butter. So that's because this is an older box.
And
so
the new one, it's not there.
Well, the new one, it's on the bottom here because you don't need to put it on the front, and it just looks way more appealing without it there. Like this, that just looks ugly there.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So I moved it to the bottom. Now you're focused because it says Milk Crunch here and it's clearly chocolate. You don't need to write it right there. And so, I mean, I've obsessed over every little thing from like the divots on the bars to the like ratio of peanut butter inside the bars to the packaging. I mean, it's just been continuous improvement and through just brute force and trial and error. And if I could go back in time and just like tell
all of these things.
Oh, I mean, it would be because like switching the bars from like these glass pane things in these boxes, like these are things where like I have to shut down production and like literally halt everything for 8 months. Even little things like stories I've never told. Like I wanted to do like we at one point made like cookies, like just Feastables cookies. I was just curious to see how they would do. They were received pretty well. This was back before I was like super involved and knew every little thing going on in the weeds. And I was just like, here, let's just try some. Like we made like these gluten-free cookies. Nothing too crazy. Put them in some Walmarts and they sold well. Velocities were good, but I wasn't too passionate about it. And I was like, I really just mostly want to focus on chocolate. And we had these like gummies we do with Carl, but for the most part, I just want to focus on chocolate. And I really want to obsess over ethically sourcing chocolate. Yeah. And like how we can like make an impact and like show the world that you can ethically source it. And so then I was like, don't worry, let's just kill the cookies thing. We ended up losing like $5 million on like this little trial thing we were doing for the cookies. And it's like these little things, man, because you're like a startup and we're like, and I didn't have much experience and I wasn't as like in depth in like running everything. And I was just like, this is fucking crazy, man.
But that's an important lesson for all the creators who are trying to make their products.
Yeah.
That they really need to be hands-on. It's not going to be working on autopilot. It's not going to work when they are just going to be like, oh, let it beam out and sort of buy some shit. Like they really need to obsess over it the way you obsessed it. Because I'm so happy like you put it out. Because I speak to so many creators here in India specifically, talking about building products and stuff and what are their views.
Yeah.
Most of them, they just think that no matter what they put out, people will buy. Even if they're putting out like that.
But will they buy it two times, 3 times, 4 times?
Exactly, that's the one. Like they want to build a business out of it.
Selling something one time is not a business. That is just I don't know. It's money. That's just but a business is getting someone to buy something 10 times a year for the next 10 years. That's a business, which agreed, they're not. But the thing is, I own Feastables. And so that's where it's different. Like I would advise most creators just partner with some, like if you wanted to launch candy, go partner with Ferraro, and just like do candy with them and let them handle this logistics, supply chain, manufacturing, finance, distribution, etc. And you just market it, right? And just get like a fucking 20% off the top royalty deal. That's what I think most creators should do. Like they shouldn't run the business because agreed, like they'll never, like most creator businesses are just going to go up, to sell one, and then the repeat purchase rate's not going to be there. And then they'll just end up shutting it down within 95% of creator brands right now, 5 years from now will not exist. But you have to think of the opportunity cost for the creator, because imagine an inverse scenario where instead of launching popcorn, promoting popcorn a bunch, promoting for 2 years, and then realizing, oh, this isn't working out, and then slowly shutting it down over the next 2 years, and you essentially net nothing because it's very hard to be a profitable company. Yeah. Now imagine that where you basically, best case scenario, it's a wash. Let's say they don't lose any money. Versus one where instead of promoting the popcorn, they're doing brand deals. And it's like someone who's getting $50,000 a brand deal and they do brand deal over the course of 4 years. Like there's a multi-million-dollar net difference. And that's assuming you don't even invest that multiple millions of dollars in the stock market and the gains and stuff there. Like the opportunity cost is actually massive. And I think a lot of creators starting brands are just wildly messing up. Like I think they would be because most of them aren't entrepreneurs and they're just going to fail. And it'd be so much better off just doing brand deals and putting that effort into their content, or like I said, just doing a royalty deal with someone who actually knows what
Or
they're doing.
partner with someone who knows how to do it.
Exactly, because like the odds of them running a product at scale and having 20% margin and being able to do all these things or having it's just not going to happen for most of these creators. Whereas if they just we're like Ferrero, let's sell $4 bag of gummies. Every one bag I sell, give me 80 cents and put this shit nationwide.
Yeah.
Like they could make pretty good money doing that.
Do you think in India it will work? Like the creator-led models or the celebrity-led models? Because in US, celebrity-led brands has always worked.
Well,
Not like...
the thing is,
I wouldn't say like it has worked for everyone.
Exactly.
But time and time again,
there
like a lot of people have worked.
There are celebrity brands in America that have worked. Yes, like Conor McGregor, I believe his whiskey crushed.
Ryan Reynolds, Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian, Skims.
Kylie Jenner.
So they're, but they're like, you just listed maybe half of the actual truly successful ones. So that's where you got to look at like over the last 20 years, we could probably count on our two hands the amount of actual real. But
still, there are case studies where the brands have worked.
Yeah.
Right. Feastables is doing good. Prime is fucking killing it.
Yeah.
Right. In India, we haven't seen, like around the world, I haven't seen other brands. Like, do you think it'll work in this part of the world?
Well, this is where I'm ignorant because there has to be celebrity brands or something that have done well around the world. That can't just, but do I think there'll be an implosion where it will start working for more and more people kind of like in America? It's hard to say because like I don't know, like Virat Kohli, if he wanted to do something with cricket, like he could obviously have the most successful cricket line. I don't know if he does. I'm not as big of a follower of him, but
he has a bunch of brands under his.
Okay, but so you said a bunch, right? And that's what like Ronaldo and Messi and like big athletes do, but they tend to do a lot of brands. But if Virat Kohli theoretically was just like, I'm just doing this one thing, and he just was like, he tried to become like the number one cricket gear, and he hired like a world-class team and blah blah, like he could. Right. I mean, I don't know much about the guy. I just know he has an absurd amount of followers and people worship him. Yeah. So that's where you're asking, do I think it will happen? No. But could it happen? Yes. Right. It's just extreme focus and people just have to want to do it and assemble the right team.
I want to pick your brains up on making of video. Okay.
Yep.
So let's give you a product.
Okay.
And how would you promote and how would you think about marketing this particular product? Okay, just give me, let's say, blender.
A blender?
A blender. Like,
that's an easy one because there was actually a viral blender back in the day that I think
Blendec. Like they just blended like all the iPhones
exactly,
and everything.
Yeah. They had a series called Lil Blend. So I mean, honestly, I would just bring back a modern version of that and like.
What would you do? Give me.
I mean, literally, like I think they did it back in the day and it worked really well. Me and you both know about this blender from 10 years ago. So clearly it worked. I remember their blender was so good, they would put an iPhone in there and it'd turn it to dust. And I think
But would you do the same thing again for the video to perform? Because it has already been done.
Yeah, maybe not that per se, but...
What would you do? Think about it.
Blender. Blender. What's the product differentiation? Is it just the same blender as every other blender?
It's a goddamn good blender.
It's
a really powerful one.
Really powerful blender.
So for $100, you cannot get something as powerful as this.
Okay, it's the most powerful blender for $100. I mean, am I famous or am I not famous?
You're a creator. You're famous.
Okay, then I mean, step one is I'd probably go get Gordon Ramsay to blend stuff and make a meal with it and get it associated with Gordon Ramsay. There's another YouTuber, Nick.
Let's say not famous. Like, yeah. You really think on like a different level. I'm just.
Well, then if I'm not famous and I just have a good blender that's not that much differentiated, then this is where it's hard because my true answer would be I would spend more time focusing on the product because marketing isn't what builds a system. I mean, maybe I can't say that definitively, but majority of the time, it's not the marketing that's going to build
for $100 for a good price, you've really made a powerful blender which doesn't lose nutrients, has like all the things which like a blender does, and is let's say +2 version of like a normal blender. I'm trying to put like constraints and trying to think about how can you make a differentiated version of
Yeah,
this
well,
just
let's
through
think.
videos.
What does a blender do? So it just like crush.
Smoothies, juices, helps you make food,
Yeah, I mean,
gravies, what else?
what inherently at first principles, it just a blade that spins really fast and just transforms things, right? That's the most first principle way of looking at a blender. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I mean, some of the first things jumping in my mind are, but no, that's not viral. I got to think of how would we make this viral. I mean, another thing, again, this is where if we're just purely thinking marketing, right? We're not talking about product. Like, here's the thought I had. I was just too lazy to act on it. But if I was in this spot, like I would figure out who the set designers are on every major studio. And then I would just be like, yo, I'll get like just replace their blenders. Like they don't care, and then just try to get in movies that way. Right. See if like I've heard stories from friends of like who have products. I won't say because I don't want to ruin what they got, but they're like, they just figured out like this was the prop guy for these movies. And like, I just gave them this like $200 worth of product for free. And then it just ended up in the movies. Right. But but you would have to have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for product placement. But I just went around the marketing team and I just like figured out who bought the things and just I was like, hey, just buy this. I'll just give it to you for free. And they like didn't think too much of it. So I would my mind's jumping to like little things like that. Right. Like, and then it's like maybe making a short, like, here's how I got my blender and 10 big movies. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And that would pop off. Like Logan did a short one time where he like had Prime. He sat courtside and like had a Prime bottle there. And he was like, here's how I got Prime and NBA. And that short did really well. And I thought that was a little creative. So like something like that would be cool. I mean, my mind keeps jumping to like smoothie competitions and things like that, but that's just not viral.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all in the constraints of like, what are you doing, right? Because like for me, I can make it interesting in my videos. Like when I'm doing like an experiment video, did you see that video where we like put a train in a pit and we we lit 100,000 fireworks in a house? So then like the third bit could be, making a giant version of the blender and putting a car in it, right? And that'd be interesting. And I'd be like, this is the same spec, same everything, just enlarging. And if it can blend a car, it can blend your fucking smoothie. You know what I mean? If we're trying to portray the power of it.
Sick.
Yeah.
I asked you this because I own a blender brand.
Oh, really? I didn't even know.
Yeah. Because you answered so well, like, let me gift you this.
Holy shit. You know what's funny? While I was thinking, I was looking at that over there too.
There you go.
Thank you. That's crazy. I just got played.
No.
Do the grenade one. Kidding.
So this is a product with me and another YouTuber.
Oh, and it's $100 and it's powerful. That's funny. Bro, your audience is probably gonna be like, there's no way Jimmy's this stupid.
No, there are so many differentiators, but I didn't want to put that out because I wanted to play like completely dumb and like with constraints because that would make more sense. So I wanted to gift you this. This is by one of the biggest food content creators in the country.
Okay.
Him and me, we partnered together because my background is business. So I handle the business side of the things, which you were explaining.
Yep.
And he handles the product and like marketing and doing things like that.
Going into retail is a big deal because you have to bet big. You have to, like, if you were to launch in 1,000 doors and, you got to even just
like we have more demand than we can sell.
Yeah. Online?
Online.
Good.
But we want to really take it slow and we want to make sure that we get it right because product is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the last question. Okay. So tell me, like, what's your biggest fear for the future of content creation? And this for you and for every content creator.
I'm not too fearful of anything for us personally. I think it's as long as I keep obsessing over making great videos and hiring the best people and reinvesting everything, like the product will just speak for itself. But in terms of the whole market, I mean, I don't know. To me, there's not much to be afraid of. Like YouTube's still growing year over year. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I think like the monetization possibilities for creators are only getting better and better. And there's never been a better time to be a creator.
Do you think this AI and all of this shit is not scary? Because technically, like now you don't need to be in your videos. You can do AI modeling and do the same thing.
Not really. We're not at that point yet. The voice models just aren't there yet. Like you can tell when it's AI voice and when it's real, right? It's like we're working with the best companies on the planet. 11 Labs has the most realistic voice model right now, and it's just not there. So voice isn't there, which I think will be the first. But actually replacing ourselves with AI in videos, nowhere fucking near close. But I do think it will be there in the next. So I think that's going to be the first thing that dramatically AI changes a lot of things for a lot of creators. Because like we use AI for like, because we have so much footage after we film. So we use AI to like, if I'm like, oh, we didn't mention Feastables in this video, before they'd have to go back and watch thousands of hours of footage, not thousands, but like comb through a bunch of footage to find it. Now we have AI just transcribe our video and they just search Feastables and it'll pull up every time it's mentioned, which has been great. We use AI for like thumbnail mockups, which is funny. I actually, we put up I employ a lot of thumbnail artists and a lot of thumbnail designers. I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on thumbnails. And the thing is, we just to like help our thumbnail people with inspiration. We put up like this job posting of like just an AI, I don't even remember, just like someone to come up with AI concepts. Like, so just to give our thumbnail team something to work off of. It wasn't replacing a job or anything, but like Twitter went crazy when we posted that. And they're like, fuck you, Jimmy, pay artists, stop trying to put artists out of jobs. And it's like, they went nuts. And it's like, guys, it's so hypocritical because I have more thumbnail artists on payroll than anyone else on YouTube, probably times 10. Like the amount of money I pay thumbnail artists and people who work on my thumbnails is ridiculous. And I just wanted to hire one person to help them with inspiration for their work and make their lives a little easier. And people just like went on a giant crusade against me, which is
insane.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the world I live in now. But voice and then the video thing. But no, anyways, to people listening, I wouldn't worry about it now. No, put your head down, grind. I mean, be on top of it. The best thing you could do would be have an AI mastermind or know someone who is on top of it. Because, most people watching this probably aren't tech savvy enough like me, where we know everything and are on the bleeding cutting edge. But if you're not, just know someone who is, you know what I mean? So you're not too caught off guard and you can see things 3-6 months out, and you don't want to find out like AI voice is replacing real voice like a year later. Like you found out I'm using audio tracks a year later. You want to find out 3 months before it happens, not a year after it happened. So as long as you're in that position and you're surrounding yourself with the people who can keep you informed, I think you'll be fine.
Okay, here's a question. If you have to tell every YouTuber around the planet, okay, to ask themselves 3 questions before they make a video or even start thinking about a video, what would be those 3 questions? It can be relevant for somebody who has 100 subscribers and to somebody who has like 50 million subscribers.
I would say step 1, is this video original? Because that's like, I listened to this TED Talk one time, which, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but I think it's a good seed to plant in people's head, where the TED Talk person was explaining how if you're driving down the road and you just see a cow, you're just going to look once and look ahead and you're never going to think about that again. But if you're driving down the road and you see a cow and it's purple, you're going to look 5 times and you're never going to forget that. And I think that same logic does apply to ideas, right? When you're scrolling through YouTube, if your idea is the cow idea, they're going to look and they're going to keep scrolling. But if you have the purple cow idea, they're going to look 5 times and they're going to have to click on it. So it sounds cringe because I'm just making this up on the spot. But like, first question is like, is this a purple cow idea or is this just a cow idea? I don't know. I just pulled that out of my ass. The second thing would be, am I truly putting as much effort into this video as possible? Like a video can always be better. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, I'm a firm believer it's much easier to get 1 million views on one video than 10,000 views on 100 videos. You know what I mean? And so like, are you making that 1 million view video, or this is if your goal is to like be as big as possible or whatever. If you're just trying to have fun, then who cares? Ignore everything I'm saying. But like, is that 1 million view video? Is this that, or is this like just another drop in the bucket, 10,000? That's not going to move the needle. And then the third question would be, what am I improving from last time? Because I'm a big believer, like, to be the best, it's just like, at the start, you're making 10% improvements, then you're making 5% improvements, then 1% improvements every video, then 0.5%, then 0.1%, then 0.001%, but they just keep stacking. It's just a never ending thirst for learning and like, what did I improve this video? What am I learning this video? Because that every time you learn something, if you're truly on like the mindset of I'm going to do this for the next 20 years, I don't think YouTube's going to go anywhere, then learning something is going to pay off insurmountable dividends because now you get to apply that knowledge for the next 20 years, you know? So always be learning, always be improving. So what am I improving would be the third question.
Good. I think even though you just made it up, it sounded wise.
Yeah. So what do you think about my purple cow analogy? I actually...
It's a Seth Godin thing, right? Like I think Seth Godin said it.
I don't remember.
A book called
I was
Purple
just... Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just like watching
He's
random
one of the
TED
greatest
Talks.
marketers in America.
Interesting. I was literally just watching random TED Talks. I don't remember anything except the purple cow analogy.
Okay.
I was like, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. He's one of the big marketers there. He also wrote a book called All Marketers Are Liars.
Really?
It's a pretty interesting book.
I love how you know everything about him. I'm just like, yeah, he said something about a purple cow. Yeah.
Okay, how much money do you make in a year?
Oh, like $5, maybe.
Yeah,
10.
sure.
Yeah.
But no, like what do you...
On a good
like
year,
you keep
maybe.
reinvesting everything, right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could tell you like, obviously I can't say how much we do in revenue, but I could tell you like now we're probably spending $3 million an average a main channel video. Plus obviously you have millions of dollars a month in employees and overhead and, you know, all this other stuff. So, I mean,
how much are you spending in a year?
On YouTube videos this year,
plus salaries, plus overhead.
yeah, on content this year, just across everything from TikTok, because we have a big TikTok. We do a lot of shorts, so it's not even just long form anymore. We do really big shorts. Like some shorts I'm spending 6 figures on now. And like we're doing a lot now. Well over $200 million spent on content this year between the Amazon show and the main channel and all these ancillary things we're doing. Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy.
Insane. $200 million you're spending.
Yeah, over 200 million on content this year.
I saw a post on, I think, some wealth page or some shit like that.
Okay.
Some page where it showed top 10 influencers, top 10 highest paid influencers of 2024, and you were number one.
Yeah, Forbes just released that couple. I only know because everyone texted me it. Yeah.
So is that number two? $100 million.
I thought it said 85.
Yeah, somewhere close.
Yeah, it said 85.
85 million, yes. Well, thank you so much. That
Thanks for
sums
having
up
me.
almost all my questions. I wish that we could spend more time together, but...
No, but honestly, I think this is a good time for them to go watch Beast Games on Prime Video right now.
They already will. They must have watched it already.
Now.
Thank you so much for watching this episode till the end. Please let us know in the comments, what did you like about this episode and what you didn't? What are the other topics and guests who you want to see on the episode on this podcast so that we can get them for you and provide you all the value and insights that we're already doing for you. Please comment and let us know. Also, send this episode to at least one person whose life's gonna change after watching this episode and understanding this conversation. And don't forget to subscribe this channel, because the more you subscribe, the more we grow, the better and the bigger the guests we get, just like this episode. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep figuring out.